Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to Creating Dark Velvet. If you are back, I'm really honored to see you again. And if you just coincidentally bumped into this video, then maybe you get interested and maybe you will see the welcome video that is linked below, together with other interesting links that on the topics that we might be talking about. I very shortly want to just tell you that this project, Creating Dark Velvet, is about bringing a little bit closer to the audience the process of how new music is written, like finding the ways to present maybe shortcuts and the process seen a little bit closer by, and maybe in that way making you interested to learn the language of it. So one of the composers that I invited to participate in these talks is Felipe Waller. He wrote for me a piece called Jaque, Salga, Gala, and it will be one of the pieces on the CD Dark Velvet. Hello, Felipe.
Hello. And we should say that this piece was written quite a while ago. 27 years or so. I arrived in Holland, what was it, 94? The same year that you did. And we both came to study to the Rotterdam Conservatory, right? So this piece was actually written in my study time.
Yes, it was. And my study time.
And ours both study time. We met, I think you were the first person I met.
Yes.
I went to the conservatory.
At the conservatory, you were the first person I met.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, when one is so young and going out of your country, it's quite intimidating to know where to go, what to do. And there you were, it's very jolly Yugoslavian back then.
Yes, you came from Mexico, right?
Yeah.
You were born and was brought up in Mexico City. And I come from a country previously known as Yugoslavia. And yes, we studied both at the Rotterdam Conservatory and met, and one thing led to another, and we ended up sharing our living space and our lives together for quite some years.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it was really I remember that for me, writing this piece was really a luxury, in the sense that to work on a piece together with a musician. I mean, this was really that kind of a piece that I really worked out with you a lot, and I could bring a sketch and you would try it out. This works, this not. We did a lot of that. So ever since, I always preferred to work as much as possible with a musician, if possible. Depending, I mean, especially if it's a solo piece, but even when it's not, to have the contact, to know the character of the person, what they are like when they play and everything.
Yes, it is like shoes made exactly to fit your toes.
So totally.
Yeah.
So this piece has definitely some part of you. It's not only an abstraction I did and you performed it. It's a really collaboration.
Yes, but that is also one of the aspects that I enjoyed always about working with composers, because it would be so custom made, like, and it is also such an interesting thing to hear and to see what I evoke in somebody. Like, how do you see me? So you write this piece exactly the way you do, or what do you know what my playing can contribute to this piece, actually, and why it is written the way it is.
I was very impressed, because you were in a level, if I may dare say, higher level musicianly speaking, because I could see that you had an upbringing within a music family. Your father was a composer, a cellist, and your mother a singer, and you were since very young embracing all this knowledge, which in my case was not so. My parents loved music, but that's about it, you know. So I had a high respect of your when we shared. We went. I remember we went a lot of concerts with the room, and when you spoke about, we had our discussions about how did you find the piece, and I was always in awe because you had.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean,
It's nice to hear.
so all of this is really part of the inspiration, and this piece in specific is was made. I mean, it's even if it's my student time, one is already looking for one's own voice, the language, and I was inspired back then. I mean, still now, but back then in a different way to my roots. I thought I came to Holland to find my second roots, which was the Dutch roots.
Because your father is
my
Dutch.
father's
yeah.
Dutch, and I did find them, but in the beginning, I must say that the Mexican roots came stronger out. So I was writing these pieces influenced or with some kind of flavor of Mexican folk music, which is the case of the Jaque. So it was based on a song, a romantic song from the 40s or 50s, which was by a singer, Pedro Infante. He was like the Elvis of Mexico. I mean, he was.
Oh yes, here I found some of the first handwritten sketches of the piece, and there also I found this description you actually wrote about it. That it is of course the Jaque, Salga, Gala, Luna for violin solo, and it is an homage to Pedro Infante, who was by definition the idol of Mexico. And with his acting and singing, he formed part of the golden era in Mexican cinema in the 40s and 50s, as you said. With his charms and his voice, he earned the love and admiration of every Mexican woman, maybe you slightly exaggerated, but maybe not, throughout the country. This piece is not an adaptation, but an exuberant distortion of one of the songs he would use to conquer the heart and soul of some of his beloved actresses, having as a result a translation of it to the violinistic idiom. And this piece is dedicated to Julija Hartig. But that's an interesting thing that you say that this is an exuberant distortion of that love song. So tell us a little bit more about that need to do this. To this
the piece itself is exuberant in itself, right? I mean, it's very passionate love song, and I think. I wanted to evoke this same thing, but with a very deformed or distorted version of it. I wanted to keep the DNA of the piece, so that something comes through it, but not necessarily that you could recognize it or not. That depends. I mean.
So you are actually attracted to decompose music,
well,
which in this particular you fragmented the beautiful little gestures and the ornamentations and stuff, and then you just use them in separate different contexts.
Totally, it's about deforming and changing a little bit reality, because our perception of reality is one way of seeing things, but I think there's many ways of one can see reality or one can perceive things, and as an artist, maybe that's our responsibility to open the minds of the public to be able to see things in a different light, not just.
Is it more like you would like to present a different angle of a same emotion, or give the emotion a different layer, or go into depths of like looking what is there in the same emotion? Or
emotions are so often so difficult to explain in words, right? We define them with the very basic words of anger or sorrow or happiness or melancholy maybe, but how often we're lost in words how to express something, and that's where often art comes to express something. Sometimes we, instead of telling some words to somebody, we send them a picture of a painting or a song,
Yes.
So this is
a non-verbal description of some kind of an emotion.
Especially with music, it hits us so directly, and it creates certain emotions. So my interest often in music is to maybe create some kind of new emotions or sub emotions which we are maybe not aware of.
So just to say that below in the text, the description of this video, you will find a link to the original song of Pedro Infante, Deja que salga la luna. But now maybe it is interesting talking about all this to present a fragment of Felipe's piece combined with the original song of Pedro.
I did
Infante.
this mix back then because I didn't compose it like this. I didn't distort the original song first and then compose a piece. No, I just, once the piece was ready, I thought, oh, it would be interesting to put them together to see how...
Yeah, you did this recently.
Yeah.
I remember, yes. So shall we listen?
Sure.
Interesting. Very fun.
It's a quite a virtuosic piece, I must say. No,
Oh yes, yes.
So I think that's
it's
also
such a nice challenge to practice it. Yeah.
But that's something you
and I'm
evoked
so excited to I obviously played it a couple of times before, and now coming back to it and working again on the piece is a very, very nice experience, because you can also see where you are in comparison to previous versions. And
I was curious to ask you something, because we talked about this being a love song and the deformation of it, but as a player, when you perform it, how do you experience the piece? Is it how do you relate to the original in a way in the back of your mind, or is it completely something more abstract?
I can't help knowing in which realm it is. So I'm, especially at the beginning of the piece, which is a very slow part and going very mysteriously, like almost through the mist of finding, but actually never finding it.
Mm-hmm.
And also like distorting also the sound through the sul ponticello and colegno, and but you can feel this, and I'm trying also definitely to give it this beautiful emotional sound, even in those couple of moments that it is there. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And also in the quick parts, you can actually hear very much the similarities.
Yeah.
In one of the voices, it's always the original song.
No, definitely.
And you're just adding intervals that are surprising or
I just
different.
I ask because I wonder how is it for somebody who listens to the song for the first time, I mean to the composed violin piece, without knowing the original song. I mean, how does that come out?
Well, I mean, I also by years, playing it, of course, the piece just gets its own identity.
Yeah.
So at the end, you are playing this piece.
Sure.
But of course, you know where in which.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the light and what is the language of Pedro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in this way, it's nice to invite people to react whenever they will
Definitely
have the opportunity to listen to the piece, what it evokes in them.
Yes, let us know. It is really nice if you leave some kind of a feedback, and maybe you, I'm sure that right now you are hearing also under our video the piece of Felipe. As a background music. Very softly. But yes, try to tell us what you think about it. And then I have a couple of surprise questions for Felipe. That is, who is Felipe?
Who is Felipe? Why you asked
Just
me
in
that.
a kind of short 3 sentences.
Well, a very sensible man. No, who is Felipe? I'm a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, that's something that's been with me my whole life. I'm a hybrid of two cultures, Latin culture and European. And I was brought up with this mix of sensibilities in a way. So my parents were into arts, music and art, and I was a fourth child, so I had in a way that the stage of my parents were there more relaxed, and so I embrace my both roots, and I love what I do, which is music, and I try to I like to explore new forms of sound and create music with them. And
as I experience you as a composer, you're somebody who is all the time looking for sounds we could never imagine that could come out of tiles, or you're looking for textures and interesting objects or new things you can play on.
I think it's magical when you achieve certain sounds that you think like, I mean, the sound world is still a big enigma. If we think we know how sound works by now, it's a joke, because there's always a mystery one can discover.
Mm.
And lately, more and more, I'm building my own instruments.
Oh, wow.
I perform myself, or I make the musicians perform on their own. The latest is, for example, a flute, a slide flute. That's very,
yes. Mm-hmm.
But I made a slide flute that has 3 flutes. So you play only in one, but 3 sounds at the same time, creating a very strange chords.
Can't wait to hear that. And if you were not a composer, what would then be your choice of expressing yourself or of occupation? I guess you wouldn't become a lawyer. You're not that type.
No.
But if you could, if you would be something else, what would you choose for?
Well, I think it would be something in the arts. I like cinematography, just the camera.
Yes, you are very much also a visual type.
Yes.
You also studied in Paris.
I started first visual arts.
Yes.
Before going to music.
You studied painting as well. No?
Painting. I even considered architecture. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it could be something related to creative, very creative process. Because everything relates. I've done movies, some experimental movies, and the creative source is always the same.
Yes. And if you could go in any kind of time, epoch, which composer would you like to meet?
Wow.
The one of the greatest, or ones you admire the most, or something like that?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Like how long time would I have?
Doesn't really matter. I guess you would love to go into caves and see people playing on stones.
No, it depends if you get
sound.
5 minutes, or you get have a dinner with them, or a whole afternoon. No, I don't know. Depends.
If you had a chance to meet one of the greatest.
There would be several. I mean, some Italians. I think the Italians are very either Scarlatti. I really love his music, and I imagine him as a character must be as joyful as that. So that would be fun. Or maybe somebody like Gesualdo. I mean, he's quite a character, and would be interesting also. But yeah, I would. There's some composers I would have too much respect to meet. I mean, if I would meet Bach, I don't know even what I would tell him.
I see.
Well, we had that. We had this situation once. Maybe you don't remember, but we once were in the same building as Ligeti.
Yes.
And I told, Julija speaks Hungarian, and it says you're half Hungarian in a way, no?
Yes.
So I thought, please, let's go talk to him. Come on, he's there. Let's just have some contact. And you said, no, I can't. I have too much respect for him.
Oh my
Remember
God.
That?
Yeah, I remember, but
I was
yeah.
like curious, like
Oh. Yeah, I thought like, yeah, you know, how can you bother somebody like that?
yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure, but yeah,
But now I regret it.
and now I understand it though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, because yeah, for some reason.
We made the full circle.
Yeah.
Nowadays I would approach him and you
Yeah.
great. That's what life is all about, isn't it? Well, I thank you so much for this 20 minutes or so.
Can I not ask you which composer you would meet?
I was hoping you wouldn't think of something to throw back.
By the way, it's so nice to see the handwritten scores.
Yeah, isn't it?
Such a long time since I mean, I do my speeches nowadays like this, but okay, tell me yours.
My answer. I guess it would be definitely Mahler. Because I'm very attracted to his music. He is probably one of my favorite composers. And I would just love to have an opportunity to go back and have a glimpse to that atmosphere of the beginnings of the 20th century, where people were so excited about expressing individualism and the birth of psychology, and you know, being busy with what they feel and think, and you know. But
what would you ask him? I mean, he was quite a tough cookie, right?
Oh, I think he must have been a very, very difficult person. But you know, just to look into his eyes, actually, you know, I don't know if I would even need to ask him anything, but just like to feel that energy, you know, to feel, because we perform composers, the music of composers, and we have our own fantasy about how that person must have been. And I mean, from the ones that we don't have any footage and you know, interviews with and stuff, so we kind of have create this world, but who knows, maybe it's not like that, you know, maybe it's much worse than what we think, or you know, like, what would be their energy? Although you can feel that through music, but how would that feel when you're really standing in front of him?
Yeah, better as a composer than a conductor, maybe. Maybe you meet him in the summer when he was composing his pieces.
I don't know.
Or because behind the baton,
who knows?
He was ruthless.
Yeah, I like those. Anyway, this was our episode with Felipe. I hope that you liked it. I hope you got a little bit interested about this whole process. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you could always get heads up on the videos immediately as they appear on this playlist. And stay safe, stay curious, and see you the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.